Hi, I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
And this is ReDIScover, a conversation where we travel through everything that makes up the essence of who we are and how to live authentically and imaginatively.
Here, we invite you to join us as we explore and discuss a little bit of, well, everything.
From Disney to cultivating your most authentic life to deepening your relationships and talking about the real stuff.
We hope you'll find this a space that speaks to you, encourages you, and brings a little bit of magic into your day.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
And welcome back to this week's episode of ReDIScover. We are going to continue talking about food today, more specifically Disney food. Last time we talked all about snacks. So today we are going to expand on that topic and transition over into talking about Disney restaurants.
We gave you the appetizer, the little amuse-bouche, and now we are going to sit down, relax, pull up a chair, and eat our way through all of our favorite Disney restaurants. And there are a lot of them. And I feel like most of them are like pretty tried and true for us, but there are a few newer discoveries as well. So whether you've been to Walt Disney World in the last 5 years or so, or you are planning an upcoming trip, these should make it onto your list, even if you can't do all of them, because there are a lot, and fitting them all into one trip is probably not realistic, but I'd say pick a few if something we talk about sticks out to you. I think Disney dining is above and beyond because it's an entire experience. You're not just sitting at a table and eating a meal. There's a story that's being told, and it's being told through the atmosphere of the restaurant, through the food that you're eating, through the types of forks on the table. Like every last detail is thought about. And I think that's part of the reason why these particular restaurants are staples for us.
And even the cast members too really immerse you in the experience that you choose. All of the restaurants we're going to recommend today, we recommend getting reservations for.
Yes.
As soon as you possibly can. Once your reservation window opens, get on that My Disney Experience app and book them for yourselves. Even if it's a rough plan, you just want to have something in the books so you can go, because you don't really have the opportunity to walk up to them because they are always fully booked.
Yes. So the other disclaimer about these particular restaurants is a lot of them are our favorites for a reason, meaning that they're really popular. So to piggyback off of Jess's point about definitely making a reservation as soon as you can, even if it's not for like the exact date and time you want it, just book it so you have it, and you can always adjust and move things around. But I will also say last minute reservations do come available, and it's usually like the day before. I'll check the app and see restaurants that are usually hard to get into show up for the next day, like Be Our Guest and Ohana, things like that. So I would say make the reservation, even if it's not the exact date or time you want it, and then keep checking like the week of your trip, a couple days before the day you want to go. You never know what cancellations might pop up that you'll be able to see and adjust.
So with all that being said, those are our tried and true tips as Disney diners. So we're going to start up the episode, and we wanted to go through every park again, like we did with snacks, but we have a few extra categories in the restaurants episode. The concept we wanted to lean into was if both of us were planning a trip to Walt Disney World and we had to pick one restaurant per section, which one would we choose? I think we narrowed it down to one, so we're going to try to keep it to that. I know we're really bad at choosing one favorite, but we're going to try and keep it at that today. So why don't we start at the Magic Kingdom?
I feel like there's no better way to begin.
That's the only way to begin. So, my Magic Kingdom restaurant that I would choose if I was planning a trip to Walt Disney World would be Liberty Tree Tavern. Magic Kingdom is difficult because, like we've said before, the dining options at this park are not our particular favorite, but I do have to say I love Liberty Tree Tavern because it is a Thanksgiving feast right in the middle of the park. So it's located in Liberty Square. You walk inside and it's a very colonial theme. You sit down at your table and you get a family style Thanksgiving meal. You get turkey, pot roast, mashed potatoes, corn. One of the best parts about Liberty Tree Tavern is the dessert, which is the ooey gooey toffee cake. That is delicious. It's like a cookie cake kind of deal with vanilla ice cream on top. I always look forward to that at the end of your feast. So you definitely will be full. I like going there because it's a nice break from the craziness of the day. You really do get to slow down in this restaurant. You are in a tavern, you're in a homey environment, and it's wonderful. I choose to go there over any other restaurant in Magic Kingdom for sure.
I think if you're an American history nerd, this is a cool place to go to because each room is like themed after someone. Like there's the Betsy Ross room, and then I think there's like an Alexander Hamilton room, and each room has some nod to some founder or like foundress of our country. And so it's kind of fun to look at all the details and just see all of the like 18th century furniture and things like that, and it does feel very cozy and homey. I think my favorite time to go to Liberty Tree is like around the holidays because the food is pretty much Thanksgiving. So and if it's like chillier at the Magic Kingdom, because it's definitely a hearty meal. It's not necessarily one you like want to eat at 2 p.m. in July or anything like that. So I think if you're traveling in the winter around the holidays, that's like a perfect dinner to just go and like be cozy for a while.
I agree.
Thanksgiving in the Magic Kingdom.
What could be better? Kristen?
My Magic Kingdom pick. So I've eaten at every restaurant in Magic Kingdom except for the Jungle Skipper Canteen. So I am going to give the disclaimer that like I don't have a full spectrum of knowledge here because where we stand right now, I feel like I wrote down I would leave Magic Kingdom and go to Ohana.
I don't blame you.
For two reasons. One, because
you always do that.
Because I always do that. One, because in order to keep this at one pick per section, I couldn't include Ohana in my resorts category that we'll get to later because of another restaurant that has to like take precedence. So I have to leave Magic Kingdom and take the monorail over to the Polynesian and eat at Ohana for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Both meals are good, but for dinner specifically. And I'm counting this because it's a Magic Kingdom resort. It's just a hop on the monorail and then you can go back to Magic Kingdom. It's a very short little detour, but also like Liberty Tree, it's family style Polynesian food. So you get teriyaki chicken and there are pot stickers and pineapple bread and the best noodles in the world. They're almost like lo mein noodles, but they have this like sweet, savory Polynesian sauce situation going on. And then the pineapple coconut bread pudding for dessert with the caramel sauce on top. Oh man. Oh, it's so good. I haven't been to Ohana in so long because it is pretty impossible to get a dinner reservation right now, unless you want to eat at like 10:30 at night, which I do not. So that's definitely one you want to make in advance. But I would leave and go to Ohana and then go back to Magic Kingdom. And I don't care if that's cheating. I'm sure someone's like, nope, that's against the rules. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has that been the Magic Kingdom plan though? Like we've done that over the years so many times. And I mean, it's so easy to get there. You walk right outside the park, take the monorail. It's like taking a ride right to dinner. So
it's like going on another attraction just to get to your dinner.
Ohana is one of our long-term favorites. It's been a staple. And it is very hard to get a reservation, but the food is just unbelievable. You are going to burst at the seams after. So just pace yourself, especially in the earlier portions of the meal, because you're going to be stuffed by the end and you want to save room for that dessert. So
that's the tricky part, right? Because some of these family style meals, like I could take or leave the dessert a little bit, but that one I'm like, no, I want a good chunk of that. So you really have to strategize and reserve stomach space.
If you hit your reservation time right too, you can see the fireworks out the window and they pump in the music. So it is really magical.
Yeah, it's just an extension of the Magic Kingdom. To me, it's just an extension of Adventureland. So I'm justifying my choice.
No, I think it's totally valid. So moving on, speaking of monorails, we're going to head on over to Epcot and talk about our top choices
Ooh,
at this
Epcot
park.
is so hard.
It's an overabundance of food at Epcot.
There's so much. There's so many restaurants. I think probably the most of any park.
And with the most variety, because you not only have restaurants from every country, but you also have, all of the Future World restaurants. So you have a plethora of options to choose from. Actually, this decision for me is not difficult because I have a staple favorite that has been my favorite over the years, ever since the first time I went. It's our family favorite. So a lot of you probably won't be surprised by my choice. And that is Via Napoli, which is located in the Italy Pavilion. Via Napoli is a wonderful Italian restaurant. Their specialty is definitely their pizza, but they do have pasta dishes and any classic Italian dish you could ever want. But I truthfully just get a pepperoni pizza, and the pepperoni they have are kind of like the pepperoni cups we were talking about from Buffalo, but a little bit different here. Delicious Naples style pizza. It's just so good. It's more of a thinner crust pizza, but still has a little bit of thickness, which is what I want if I'm gonna invest in a thin crust pizza, because I do like bread. They have really good pasta. I mean, even the classic spaghetti and meatballs I've gotten over the years. I love that one. They have a whole wine list, and they have gelato for dessert, as well as many other options. And it's just good. It's a very vibrant and bright atmosphere. It is quite busy in there. It's a great experience. Yeah, so that's my favorite. I will try and get a reservation pretty much every time I go to Walt Disney World because I love it that much. My dad loves it so much. He gets extra pizza to take home to the resort room with him.
Does he really?
Time.
I love
he
that.
Loves it. It's his favorite.
That's amazing. I agree. I think especially if you live locally to Walt Disney World, it's so hard to find good Italian food here. I genuinely believe that is the best Italian food in Orlando. I've not been proven wrong yet. And I've tried a lot of food. I think Via Napoli has pretty much nailed the authenticity, especially of the pizza. I admire your dad so much for getting pizza and bringing it back to the room. That's awesome. Yeah, that was kind of my runner-up, and I knew you were going to pick it. So I was like, all right, Jess can take Via Napoli, because I feel like my tried and true Epcot restaurant and our family favorite is Teppan Edo in Japan. Japan has like 4 restaurants.
Japan is awesome at Epcot.
Japan
in real life
is crushing it. But the best of all of them to me is Teppan Edo, which is a teppanyaki style restaurant, kind of like what are those like chain, like hibachi places called?
Kobe.
Like Benihana or something.
Benihana, Kobe, Fuji Grill's the Buffalo version.
Fuji Grill. Oh, we used to go to Fuji Grill for sure.
I know.
And we loved it. Epcot just takes it to another level. The chefs that they are performing at the onstage kitchens are all from Japan. They're so sweet and they're just fun to talk to. They put on a great show. The food is delicious. The noodles, again, we love a carb, but those udon noodles are phenomenal. I always get like the shrimp or the steak and shrimp or something.
The asakusa.
Yeah. It just, everything is delicious and it's a fun experience. Again, you're not just sitting at a table and eating a meal. Someone's preparing it in front of you. They're performing while they're doing it. They're talking and engaging with you. You are seated with other people though, typical to a hibachi style restaurant. So if that's something you're not into, or it's just not something you're comfortable with yet, you are seated at a table with other humans you may not know, depending on the size of your party. If you have like 10 people, you'll have the table to yourself. But if it's just a couple of you, you'll probably be sitting with other people.
Or if you are into that, then you can make new friends.
Absolutely. For sure. I just mean like coming off of the panorama and all of that. Maybe we're not so into that yet. They did have plexiglass like between the sections of the table. I'm not sure if that's still a thing, but I went over the summer and they had that, which was cool. But yeah, everything is just pristine and it's fresh. Nothing's like heavy or overly salted, which I think these like Americanized chain Japanese restaurants tend to sometimes do. This is a fresh, delicious meal. And there's actually like quite a health factor to it as well. So it's not going to weigh you down. And it's definitely somewhere you could go to like get a break in the air conditioning.
Wow, a plus.
I know.
And a thing I love about that restaurant too, particularly, is since it is at Walt Disney World, the chefs will do little Disney touches, like
yes,
their onion volcanoes might look like a Mickey or something like that. So
yeah,
you'll have to just go and see what they do on that day for a little extra magic. So both delicious choices, and we barely scraped the surface on Epcot dining there, but those are our top two.
I mean, do one for lunch, one for dinner.
I think that's the supreme day, honestly.
Right?
All right. So we're going to head on over to our next park, which is Disney's Hollywood Studios. And for my choice at this park, we're going to drive on over to Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. So Sci-Fi Dine-In, if you haven't heard about it before, we have talked about it many a times, but Sci-Fi is like going to a drive-in theater and you actually eat in a car. It's all these 1950s style retro looking cars, very bright colors. You have a screen up in the front and they play short little clips from different like drive-in ads or cartoons like Little Tom and Jerry or Purple People Eater or things like that. Mm-hmm. It's just really fun. It is kind of dark in there, so it gives you that ambiance and it looks like, you know, the headlights are on in all the cars and it's just too much fun, especially if you've never been to a drive-in theater before. It really has that novelty. It's just such a stimulating and really cool environment. There's a ton of stuff to look at and it's a very themed experience.
Yeah.
And that's why that's my top choice.
It's again, like so immersive. I mean, it does feel like you're at a drive-in movie in the 1950s. And I think it appeals to every age because obviously kids are going to be entertained, but older adults too probably have some sense of nostalgia around like going to a drive-in movie. Like they probably did that when they were like dating in high school and things like that. So I just think it's so fun for everyone. And the food is really approachable. It's like Americana classics like burgers and fries and milkshakes and things like that. That's like exactly what you want from a restaurant like that. And it's done very well. So
it's not going to be your healthy option, but it's going to be a fun option. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there are some restaurants you go to for the food, some that you go to for the experience and the food, and then some that you just go for the experience and the food is kind of like a secondary, like I'll find something. Yeah. And that I think Sci-Fi is one of those places because you can get a burger and it's going to be good, but that's not the reason you're there, you know?
Right.
I picked the Hollywood Brown Derby, which used to be a favorite of ours when I was little. My dad would always take me and my brother there because he just like loves the like 1940s Hollywood genre of music and film and everything. But as I got older and as I kind of got into that genre myself, I sort of started to appreciate what it was in that time. You think of like the I Love Lucy episode where they're sitting at the Brown Derby and William Holden gets a pie in his face and things like that. But I went there recently and the service was good. The food was good. They have like really fun craft cocktails that I don't think you can find a lot of places in the parks. Most of the restaurants in the parks will just have that standard cocktail menu that they kind of use everywhere. But this one has like really unique ones that are crafted just for the Brown Derby. And the lounge outside is a fun option too, because it is walk up available. That doesn't mean you're going to be seated right away, but you can walk up to the outside lounge tables. And I love sitting out there because you can watch like Hollywood Studios happen. You know, you can watch people coming and going and you can listen to the music and you can see the Chinese theater and you can order off the same menu. That would be my pick as of right now, subject to change if 50s primetime comes back into my good graces.
Yes. Brown Derby is a fun one. And I think two of the long-term favorites there based on the Diz boards was the Cobb salad for the appetizer and the grapefruit cake for dessert. So we've been hearing about those for over 10 years. So I just wanted to plop those in case you're looking for a little recommendation. I like the environment in there. It is like it does take you out of the hustle and bustle of the park. It is very quiet in there, actually.
Yeah.
Which you can't say about a lot of restaurants, but
yeah, it's a different pace.
It is. It slows you down for a little bit. I kind of like that. So, all right. Thank you, Hollywood Studios. Next, we're going to head on over to Disney's Animal Kingdom. And we both wrote down the same restaurant for this one.
So I was trying to think of a different one, but I was like, don't lie to yourself, Kristen.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple that I'm like, oh, maybe, but this one is my favorite. So it's our favorite. So let's just talk about it. Yak and Yeti. That's located right in Asia. It is an Asian style restaurant, of course, and their menu is expansive. They have a lot of options.
Yeah.
The decor in Yak and Yeti is really beautiful and really authentic. It is 2 floors. It is quite a big restaurant.
You can get like an upstairs window table. You can kind of like look out at Animal Kingdom while you eat, which is fun.
I've always had wonderful service there. The food is delicious. I've gotten the lo mein for years and years. We are on a lo mein.
We're on a noodle kick.
Episode. Disney has great noodles, apparently.
Disney is killing the noodle game.
And they have cream cheese wontons for dessert, which have always been a favorite.
I agree with your food recommendations too. I think I would add the firecracker shrimp. Are delicious. I mean, when are firecracker shrimp not delicious? But they're quite delicious. My mom loves like the lettuce cups that they have, the chicken larb lettuce cup situation. The seafood curry. It sounds really intense, but it's like this coconut red curry situation. And there's shrimp and I think there's crab as well. And there's like all these veggies and it's just unique. It's not something you would find everywhere. It's really unique. So if you're a seafood person, I think that is worth a try. And then for dessert, yes, those wontons, but also the mango pie is so good. It's like a lemon meringue pie in like the consistency of the mango filling. And there's this raspberry sauce on top and it's so good. And I think you can get a version of it at the Yak and Yeti quick service if you want to try it, but don't want to go to the restaurant. But it's so good.
I think it's interesting because Yak and Yeti is actually owned by Landry's, which is the same company that owns Rainforest Cafe.
I think the quality is better than Rainforest Cafe though.
I do too. It's nice. And just the people who work there are always so kind. They were so kind to us in the VIP tour realm too. So I'm very grateful for Yak and Yeti. They're always so accommodating and wonderful. And
that's awesome.
We love it. All right. So we've done all 4 parks and we still have quite a few categories to go through here because Walt Disney World has so many dining options. So
much more than just the parks.
Buckle up. We're going to keep going. Our first stop on this non-park journey is an obvious one. We're going to go right over to Disney Springs. My top choice for Disney Springs for a full service restaurant is the Boathouse. This is one of the newer restaurants with the Disney Springs revamp that happened a few years ago. And I am obsessed with this restaurant. It is so good. Honestly, I have gone more times where I've just walked up and gone to the bar that's out back and it's right on the water. You can order food there, just like
the whole menu.
Menu, drinks, the whole shebang. It is so great. I've also, sat down and gotten a reservation and done it that way too. But either way, I honestly prefer the bar just because of the ambiance. But
I agree.
When I go, I always get the same thing now because I've just perfected my order and I get the filet mignon sliders and the truffle fries. And I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong. And anything you try on the menu at the Boathouse, though, is great. I believe they have great bread there.
They do. The Parker House rolls. Yep.
Yeah. The bread is great. The ambiance is great. And especially if you have someone who loves like more of a nautical theme or being by the water or like a Florida Keys dad vibe,
Yes.
That is the place to go.
But like a little classier.
Definitely classier.
Yeah. I agree with your seating choice as well. The restaurant is huge. There's an inside bar right when you first walk in, and then there are several rooms the further back you go in the restaurant, and they're all themed differently. But then behind the restaurant, there are high top tables. And then down this boardwalk, there's another bar literally out in the water. And you can sit there. There are high top tables. There's a bar. And then there are other tables like off of that go down onto this like boardwalk. And those are all first come, first serve. So you don't actually need a reservation. You don't even need to talk to a hostess or anything. You can literally just walk out the back. The only thing I will note is that they don't bring you the rolls when you're sitting out on the like high tops and stuff out there. So if you want the bread, you have to ask for it. They won't automatically bring it unless you're sitting in the dining room itself.
Pro tip.
Again, with the firecracker shrimp, it's better at the Boathouse than it is anywhere else, in my opinion. It's so good. It's spicy though. Like if you like spicy, this is the thing for you. Their lobster roll is really good. And something to note as well, and this might just be a very niche thing, but this is one of the only restaurants at Walt Disney World where you can get fresh oysters. They have a raw bar, so you can get freshly shucked oysters. And what's cool is they have, a daily selection of like 5 or 6 different kinds, but they also have one, I believe it's called the Lucky Duck from Massachusetts. And it's an oyster that's harvested just for the Boathouse. Like that's the only place in the world you can get it. So, and they're very good. So if you were an oyster person like me, definitely something to try there. Pricey for sure. Definitely not a like meal on the cheap, although you can find like more reasonable options. Like those sliders are definitely more reasonable.
Yeah.
But I think it's a meal where you just kind of bring a bunch of people who love seafood and you get a bunch of different things and share, because a lot of the stuff, the firecracker shrimp, the fried clams, all those things are very shareable. So I think you just get a lot of seafood and you go all out. A restaurant created by a sommelier is not the typical manifestation of a dining experience. So, and I think it's evident in everything at Wine Bar George, because the food is definitely the supporting cast to the wine. That is not to say that the food isn't phenomenal. It is. It's supporting in that it complements the wine so well. These are all things you want to be eating while you're tasting wine, whether it's white or red or rosé or sparkling. The wine list is insanely long. There are wines from all over the world. George himself is there like a lot. I have seen him there several times. He has like recommended wines to me and my dining companions before, and he's just a very sweet person. All of the servers there are so knowledgeable and so excited. Like if you ask a question about a wine, or if you say, I usually drink this, I want to get out of my comfort zone a little, what would you recommend? They're like on the ball with that. They just have a really good way of gauging your palate, even if you aren't somebody who drinks wine very often, but you sort of want to learn. I think wine is one of those things that's very scary for a lot of people because it doesn't feel very approachable. They just have a really good manner of inviting you into that conversation. You're learning something along the way. And I think that's why I like it so much, because I feel like going there isn't just a meal. I'm going to like come away with some new knowledge of something, or having tried something I've never tried before. You can sit anywhere in the restaurant. Downstairs, there are high top tables and low top tables. There is a bar downstairs and one upstairs. I really like the tables upstairs along the windows or outside on the second floor balcony. They also have a beautiful view. If it's sunset and you're sitting out there, you have a perfect view of the sunset at Disney Springs. You can watch the hot air balloon going up and down. They have a brunch on the weekends, but I prefer dinner. And I guess if I'm going to give you like a few do not miss recommendations, one is the meatballs and polenta. So good. The cheese board, the charcuterie board are amazing. There's something called the big board, which is like $50 or something. And it comes with all the cheeses and all the charcuterie stuff. So if you're going with a big group, I definitely recommend sharing that. But the shishito peppers are delicious. And for dessert, the olive oil cake, which I did talk about on our snacks episode. So I'm not going to talk about it here, but so good. Just, I've never had a bad meal there. The food is very consistent, so delicious. The people are great. And I always just feel like I learned something. And I think that's why I like it so much, because it's not just dinner. It's like a class. Both like the Boathouse and Wine Bar George are phenomenal restaurants, such great additions to Disney Springs, and I have never had a bad experience at either one.
Moving on out of Disney Springs, we are going to head over to the resorts because resort dining is a whole other experience that we need to talk about. We broke up the resorts sections into breakfast and then lunch and dinner. So my resort's breakfast choice would be Kona Cafe at the Polynesian. So Kona Cafe is just a really, really good breakfast with some unique options. My top favorite is the macadamia nut pineapple pancakes. This has been a favorite for over 10 years as well. They are gigantic pancakes with macadamia nuts baked right into them, pineapple on top, put some syrup on there. It's just so good. If you want to add a little extra bonus, order that strawberry sauce that comes with the Tonga toast and you can dip your pancakes in it. It's so good. But anything you order on the Kona Cafe breakfast menu is going to be delicious. They have, more of a basic American breakfast option, or they have these unique ones like the pineapple pancakes, or the Tonga toast is the other very popular called classic item there. It is basically like fried French toast in the thickest bread you've ever seen, coated in cinnamon sugar. It's intense. We can only handle a few bites of that one, but if you have a super sweet tooth, that's an option there.
They also had a dish on the menu. I know during COVID, they tampered down the menu a little bit, but they had a dish that I hope they bring back if they haven't already, called the Samoan, which was this hash with poached eggs and potatoes and pulled pork and lots of greens and veggies. And it was so good. And it had a hollandaise sauce on it. It's almost like a hash meats and eggs Benedict that goes to Hawaii on vacation. And there's nothing not to love about that. Also, their press pot of Kona coffee is all I want in the world right now, because it is morning when we are recording this and I could just do a press pot. I really could. And my strategy is actually to go to Magic Kingdom at park open, enjoy the first hour or two in the park with very few people there, enjoy Main Street in the morning when it's still early, and maybe get a couple rides in, take a spin around the People Mover, and then leave and go to a late breakfast.
That's actually a great idea, because if you can utilize that early Magic Kingdom time, that is going to just make your day.
Yeah. So. And it's an easy monorail ride or a boat ride. My runner-up for resort breakfast was Trattoria al Forno at the boardwalk, with or without characters. Of course, the character meal was/will be phenomenal when it comes back, because it was Ariel, Prince Eric, Rapunzel, and Flynn Rider, which
you can't beat that.
You cannot beat that combo. So, and guests loved it. But I have been for breakfast sans characters. And the reason it made it to my list was because you can sit outside on the boardwalk. Those tables right there just outside the restaurant are reserved for Trattoria. And there is nothing more peaceful and magical and perfect and beautiful than a boardwalk morning. I love the idea of sitting and having an actual nice breakfast and being able to sit outside and watch people coming and going, listen to the boats as they go by, and look out at the Yacht and Beach Club across the water. And the menu is delicious. It's definitely an Italian influence, which I love. Again, great coffee, but they have this, I keep talking about polenta, I feel but they have this poached egg thing with polenta and Italian sausage, and there's actual Sunday gravy. I think a breakfast pizza. There's this tiramisu French toast that is just actually dessert, not breakfast at all. But if you go with a group of people, I think you get one sweet thing for the table and everyone can share it. And that is a great way to go. So that would also make it to my list if you're in the Epcot area and maybe you want to go over to Epcot a little later, or maybe you were at Hollywood Studios in the morning and you want to take a break. They serve breakfast until 11:30. So now I'm starting to get hungry.
I know, me too. So moving on, we're going to go to our favorite resorts meal for lunch. And both of us have the same option here. I don't even know. This and Via Napoli are my top two restaurants at all of Walt Disney World. And
wow.
I know. The restaurant we were talking about is Sanaa. Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, specifically at Kidani Village. go to the bottom floor of Kidani Village and you walk into this beautiful restaurant. It's absolutely gorgeous. The atmosphere is just so calming, and you can look out the window and see animals right on the savannah, right outside. The food is so good. You can't get anything like it anywhere else on property. And my go-to is always the butter chicken with the basmati rice and the naan bread with the 9 dipping sauces.
I truly could not agree more. It is such a staple. Like when my family's in town, we have to go.
Yep.
If anyone is visiting and they're like more adventurous eaters, like this is the place to take them, because this is not food that you find anywhere, Disney or otherwise. And you cannot beat the atmosphere. Those huge windows all around the restaurant that look out onto the savannah, and there are giraffes and zebras and okapi and all sorts of animals just grazing out there, like so close to you. And you're just looking out while you're eating, and you're like, it's one of those, is this real life moments that you have at Disney, I think is the experience at Sanaa. And the food is phenomenal. You got to do the bread service for sure.
It's non-negotiable.
So it is non-negotiable. Oh, you can take the girl out of the jungle.
I know.
But it's so true. It is non-negotiable, and it's very shareable. It's a great shareable appetizer for the table. It comes with 9 different dipping sauces, and they're all ranging from like sweet to savory to spicy. So there's something for everyone. And you could make a meal out of just that, but you don't want to, because there are so many other delicious things to try. That trio that you get with the basmati rice, and then you pick a couple of other things. The butter chicken, I agree, is so good. And I also really like the chickpea curry. It's kind of spicy though. Oh, you know what's delicious there, Jess?
What?
The tomato soup.
Oh,
interesting. It sounds so basic, but
I bet that's good to dip the naan bread in.
Yes, but it's tomato soup, and it has paneer cheese in it. That's like the pieces of it. It's almost like halloumi cheese. Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. The salad trio is amazing. Like the flavors are just insane. It is a sensory experience, and your taste buds are going to be like spiking the whole time. As of right now, you can mobile order.
Yeah.
To go, which if you're a local or you're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge and you kind of just want to like hang out in your room, maybe sit out on your balcony, and like if you have a savannah view, get your Sanaa to go and sit out there and watch the animals on your private balcony. I mean, that sounds like
bliss,
ultimate vacation vibes right there.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sanaa was my lunch pick as well. It's great for lunch and dinner. The reason I picked it for lunch is because at dinner time, depending on the time of year, if it's dark outside, you cannot see the animals. And for me, a lot of the experience is getting to sit near a window and watch the animals while I eat, because giraffes are my favorite and they're always there.
That is a good point.
So that was my lunch pick as well. But what's your dinner pick, Jess?
Well, my dinner pick is over at the Beach Club. It is Beaches and Cream. Another classic 50s vibes. It's, an old diner ice cream shop theme. They recently remodeled it, so it is a lot bigger now, but still sort of a small restaurant. They have classic diner food, burgers and sandwiches, but my favorite thing to get there is the grilled cheese and tomato soup. It is a hearty grilled cheese. And of course, to finish it off, you have to get an ice cream sundae. And we've talked about this before, but specifically the No Way Jose sundae is the best one, I think, on the menu. If you are going with a large group of people, you can get the kitchen sink, which is every type of ice cream and every topping in the whole kitchen. And they, turn off the lights and put on the sirens and make a huge announcement. And you are going to want a good sized group of people to help eat that. Yeah, Beaches and Cream, that atmosphere in there just makes me feel really, really happy. It's very bright colors and very nostalgic feeling and comforting. And it's just fun. So Kristen, what is your dinner pick?
Well, Jess, my dinner pick is my favorite restaurant at all of Walt Disney World. And again, it's a little out of the way because it's at Animal Kingdom Lodge, not at Kidani Village. It's over at Jambo House. My one true love, Boma. If you've been around for a while, you know how I feel about Boma. This is also a must do for our family. We love it so much. I love to indulge and then enter what I like to lovingly refer to as the Boma coma, which is the food coma that is brought on by ingesting so much delicious food, because Boma is a buffet. It doesn't feel like a buffet. You know what I mean? Like, it is, in that you go up, you get a plate and you get your food. But there are so many chefs at the onstage kitchen right in front of you, talking to you, serving you, like, while you're up there, that it really doesn't feel like a buffet at all. It's so clean. And the options are on like a bit of a rotation. So there are some things that are always going to be there. They're Boma staples, but there are some things that will change out seasonally or weekly. You cannot go wrong. Everything is delicious. There's always a salmon dish they have every night that's so good every time, no matter how they prepare it. It like melts in your mouth. There's something called boboti, which is like this African sort of almost like a casserole. It's like spiced meat and there's like egg incorporated into it. And it's just so flavorful and rich and delicious. There's 5 different soups. There's tons of different kinds of salads. There'll be like a curried pasta salad. There'll be like a guava and avocado salad. There's just so many unique things. And I say it's not your typical buffet for that reason too. These are flavors, just like it's not, that you will not have anywhere else. These things are not things that you're going to make at home. They're not things you're going to try in other places. And I think part of the fun of dining at Disney, and I know my family's approach to it, has always been like, let's go eat somewhere where we wouldn't make that at home. This is the time to try all of those flavors, and especially those like African and like Western Indian flavors that you wouldn't necessarily try, because those cultures are just not as represented here, at least where I live in my neck of the woods. So it's awesome to be able to fill a plate with, even if you just try a little bit of everything. That's the opportunity that Boma gives you. And it's just phenomenal. The servers there are great in normal times. And hopefully soon, when they start the cultural representation programs again, they will have cast members from different parts of Africa, and there'll be drummers that play African drums throughout the restaurant. It just adds so much life and vibrancy to the atmosphere. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I have been since it recently reopened, and I did not feel unsafe eating there. Everything was so clean, and a lot of stuff was like pre-portioned out, so you don't even have to like serve yourself a lot of it. I love it. And I didn't even talk about the desserts. But they do have the famous zebra domes that Jess mentioned on the snack episode at the Boma buffet. They also have these coffee tarts that my sister is addicted to. They'll usually have some sort of a bread pudding with like a vanilla sauce. And then there'll be seasonal desserts as well that'll usually feature some fruits indigenous to Africa. So there'll be like some guava dessert or something with passion fruit or coconut or something like that. And they're all so good, but I'll leave it there. You should go.
All right. So now that we've gone through all 4 parks, Disney Springs, and our resort options, we have 3 final categories to go through. These are specific types of dining experiences that we wanted to touch on because they are worth mentioning in their own separate categories. So the first one is going to be signature restaurant, our favorite signature restaurant at the Walt Disney World Resort. So signature restaurants are more of your fine dining experiences. They do have higher price points, but they do have higher levels of service and really beautiful, elegant atmospheres. My choice for a signature restaurant, my favorite one at Walt Disney World, is Narcoossee's at the Grand Floridian. So Narcoossee's is a restaurant that's along the water, and it's such a beautiful restaurant. It's just very serene in there. They have a lot of great seafood. You can get a view of the Magic Kingdom fireworks from there, which is a huge plus. But I think the thing that actually draws me most to Narcoossee's is some of the particular foods that they have there. Number one, the bread is just so good.
Oh my gosh.
I love the bread at Narcoossee's, and they have the salted sea salt butter.
Yes.
That's delicious. The lobster bisque is super good there. My entree, I just kind of get, I think I get a filet, or I don't know. That
just
one,
like your basic filet.
Your basic filet. But my favorite thing at Narcoossee's is the almond crusted cheesecake. And that
I knew you were going to say that.
It is only available at Narcoossee's, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Cheesecake covered in almonds, and it has these like black cherries on top, and it is just like a flavor explosion in your mouth. You take a bite and you're like, oh my God, I never knew food could taste this good. So I just love Narcoossee's. I have gone there for my birthday before. I just love the experience. I feel so happy when I'm there. And it's just so nice to get dressed up and have a little night out and be along the water and be at the Grand Floridian. You feel very fancy. And I just love it. That would be my choice if I could pick one signature meal to do.
If you're doing a signature dining experience, you want it to feel elegant. You want it to feel special and celebratory and not like something you would do every day. And I think that's part of the reason Narcoossee's is so wonderful. And also part of the reason I chose my favorite, which is a newer restaurant over at the Riviera, which is also Disney's newest resort. On the very, very top floor is a beautiful restaurant called Topolino's Terrace. And if you don't know, Topolino is what we call Mickey Mouse in Italy. And this restaurant is totally a tribute to the French and Italian Riviera. I would say it pulls more the Italian side, which I am not complaining about, but there's definitely some influence from both. They have a character breakfast there and a dinner without characters that is like a signature dining experience. Again, the service is phenomenal. Noodles. They bring you out bread and 2 different kinds of olive oil to dip it in. And the bread is so yummy. And it's like shaped like olive branches. It's beautiful. I love to be up there at sunset because you have a really beautiful view and you can go out onto the actual terrace and look out over the Riviera. You can see Epcot, Hollywood Studios. As far as the menu goes, you really can't go wrong. I think appetizer wise, it's so simple, but I love the olives. They're so good. And the gnocchi appetizer that they have is out of this world. For sure, the best gnocchi I can remember eating in my lifetime. It's like it melts in your mouth. It's so good. And then for entrees, I love the rigatoni with the braised chicken sugo. And there's like wild mushrooms, and it's, oh my gosh, like unreal. Like you bite it and you're like, this is going to be pasta. It's going to be good. And then it's a flavor explosion in your mouth. And then for dessert, you actually cannot go wrong. All of the desserts are delicious, every single one. But the warm Valrhona chocolate cake with the caramel center. That's my jam. I love the ambiance there at nighttime. And it has just become my favorite signature dining experience.
So we're going to go to our second of the final categories. And that is a specialty dining experience. And my choice for this one, again, is something we've talked about before. You will probably not be surprised by, but my favorite specialty dining experience at Walt Disney World is the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review at Fort Wilderness. This is a dinner show. We talked about this a lot in, I believe, our things to do at Walt Disney World that do not require a theme park ticket episode. Yes. It is so much fun. You can take a boat over from Magic Kingdom if you want over to Fort Wilderness, and you go to Pioneer Hall, which is a restaurant with a stage. There are performers that are all dressed up and singing songs, doing dances. Everything is like Pioneer, Frontierland type themed. They do a little Davy Crockett skit. They pull people up out of the audience to be part of the show. They come down into the audience. It is just so much fun. And the food is just, it's fried chicken, ribs, mashed potatoes, corn, strawberry shortcake, the works. You are going to have a blast. You are going to be really full. You can also get unlimited sangria, beer, or wine. It is a whole event, Hoop-Dee-Doo. Specialty dining at its finest. It is just plain fun.
The best part about us talking about this, Jess, is when we talked about it the first time on our best things to do without a theme park ticket, it was closed because of COVID, and we still don't have a date yet, but it was recently announced that Hoop-Dee-Doo is coming back. And
Thank God.
so happy. And I hope it's in time for the holidays, because you better believe I will be there.
They do little Christmas touches during the holidays too, which is so fun.
They decorate it for Christmas. Pioneer Hall gets a little Christmas makeover, and they sprinkle in some holiday cheer into the show. And it is just heartwarming and wholesome and perfect. It is the best thing to do with anyone, with your family, with your kids, with your grandparents, with your roommates from college. Everyone is going to have a good time. It's like having a picnic with your family, and then there's a show as well. The specialty dining experience that I chose is one that's got a lot of nostalgia attached to it for me, and that is the Garden View Tea Room at the Grand Floridian, which is currently not open, but I hope we get a reopening date for that soon, because it is lovely. It was absolutely a must-do for us every trip with my mom. We would go to tea. It was just something that we always planned for. We would always pack a nice dress to wear to tea, and we would set aside an afternoon to not be in the parks to go to tea. And it's like, you know, a couple of hours of being in the lobby of the Grand Floridian, which is huge and beautiful and elegant. And you're in this little room with all of these big, gorgeous windows, and it's so bright and open in there. And you get to experience like an afternoon high tea with all of the little patisserie and all the little sandwiches, and you can choose the package you want to do. We usually just do the one that comes with everyone's choice of tea. So you each get your own teapot, get a plate of like 5 different finger sandwiches, and you get scones and tarts and you can choose your dessert. There's a trifle. So it definitely serves as a meal too. Like, it doesn't seem like you'll be full, but by the end of it, you definitely are. It feels like a grown-up version of when you were little and you played dress up and you had tea parties with your stuffed animals. I've always loved that ritual. My mom is English and her grandmother's from England, and she basically raised her, and they would have tea together like every day. And so when I was little, my mom and I would like have tea together, and it was always an event. And there are men that go there too. It's not like it's like excluding an age range or a gender or anything. Like, everybody's there. It's just a fun afternoon.
That's really sweet. I love it there. Okay. And for our very last category for our Disney restaurants episode, we are going to tell you our favorite lounges at Walt Disney World, which are both located at 2 of the resorts. These are the types of places you go to get a casual drink, maybe some food. You get to sit outside or sit indoors at the lounge and just relax and lounge and spend time with who you're traveling with or your friends or whoever. Mm-hmm. And it's more of a casual experience, and you don't need a reservation for it, which is great. The lounge that I would choose as my top choice at Walt Disney World would be Geyser Point at Wilderness Lodge. So this is kind of a newer one as of the past few years, and it's out back by the water, and you go and there are a bunch of tables, but then there are also tables with like couch type seats, which I think is a huge draw for me. I love to be comfortable. It is right along the water, so it is a very nice ambiance. And the 2 things I typically get when I go there are I get the edamame for a appetizer. It's really good. It has like this chili salt on it, so it has a little kick to it. Yeah. And then the bison burger is really delicious. I don't get bison burgers anywhere else at Walt Disney World. Yeah. And it's really, really good. It has this Marionberry sauce on it, which is really unique. And I think that's why I'm so drawn to it. It's just a really nice experience. They do have a fireplace in there. It is very homey, very Pacific Northwest themed, as Wilderness Lodge is. It's indoors, but it's totally outdoors. It's totally open air, and you're right on the water, and you can watch the electrical water pageant go by if you're there at nighttime. Cool. That bison burger, you can like smell it as you're like walking. It's good. And oh my gosh, I'm like, I don't even think I'm hungry, but now I am. Like, it is an intoxicating smell. It's so good. They have a black cherry mule, which is my drink of choice there. It's like a Moscow mule with black cherry vodka, which is actually delicious. And yeah, the ambiance is great. I think that's a great choice. And it's
a great way to like be outdoors and just enjoy the vibe of Wilderness Lodge if you're staying there or if you just really like to visit. But my choice is also a little bit newer at the Grand Destino Tower at Coronado Springs, which we've talked about so many times because we love it. There is a lounge on the 16th floor called the Dahlia Lounge, and it is beautiful. It's a tribute to Walt's relationship with Salvador Dali and his travels in the Southwest and South America. And it's just gorgeous. There is an indoor lounge, there's bar seating and lots of lounge seating. There are TVs there as well. I have watched a Bills game there. And there's also an outdoor patio on the 16th floor. So your view is awesome. You can see Hollywood Studios like perfectly, right? It's right there. You can see Animal Kingdom. You can see Blizzard Beach. If you lean a little and look to the left, you can see Epcot. And we talked about this a little bit on the snack episode as well, so I won't speak too much to the menu, but it's a great place to just lounge, relax, try some Spanish wine or a Spanish cocktail. Did you know the gin and tonic was invented in Spain?
Oh, I did not know that. That's good to know.
They have a delicious gin and tonic that they make a house-made saffron syrup. It's delicious. Oh my gosh, it's so yummy. It's really unique. And they give it to you in like this goblet. You just feel very fancy drinking it. The menu is phenomenal. It's not your typical lounge food. It's adventurous. It's definitely authentic Spanish food. So and not Spanish like Mexican, like Spain Spanish. So if you want to try some new things, you've got adventurous eaters with you, or you just want to lounge and have a drink and enjoy the view. Yeah, I just have never been up there with anyone that wasn't like, wow, about it. It's a place we go to for celebrations. It's a place to go if you're staying there for sure, for like a little nightcap.
It's a great, great, great place. So that wraps up our Disney restaurants episode. And I don't know about you, Kristen, but I am very hungry now.
I'm so hungry now.
But that was so much fun to go through. I'm sorry if you guys are hungry as well, but it's just kind of inevitable. We went through all 4 parks. We went to Disney Springs, we went to the resorts, and we even covered some bonus categories. So now when you are planning your trip to Walt Disney World, you have all of our recommendations. These are based on years and years of experience and research. So I promise you, anything you choose from this episode will not steer you wrong. Thank you so much for listening today. We hope you enjoyed our Disney Food Month here at ReDIScover.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. I love tapping into that like old school Jess and Kristen planning a Disney trip, because planning the dining is like the most fun part of the trip, and everything sort of works around it for us. I feel like we pick where we want to eat, and then we pick where we're going to go that day based on that. So if we want to eat at Boma, well, I guess that's an Animal Kingdom day. And it just gives you a moment to regroup and recharge and to really take in the fact that you're in this amazing, magical place with the people that you love. And Disney dining is just on another level. Walt Disney World is really a collective of everywhere else in the world. It's like a cultural montage of every other country and people and tradition, and specifically places like Epcot or Animal Kingdom, you know, some of the resorts that have specific themes like that. And that's why you really do have to get off the beaten path and sort of discover or rediscover some of them for yourself. And it's all about an experience. It's not just the food. It's not just the service. It's all of it coming together. And that is why we are so passionate about restaurants. So if we mentioned one of your favorites, or if you are planning a trip or you know someone who is, send this along to them, screenshot and share it to Instagram and tag us. We love to see which episode you're listening to, and we love to hear your favorites too. So feel free to mention that as well.
Thank you so much for joining us this month and every month. That wraps up October already, which is so crazy. We will be back in 2 weeks with a whole new theme, one that we absolutely love and we think you're going to love too.
I'm excited.
It's a theme infused with inspiration and some really fun stories from some really special guests. So
yes,
stay tuned for that. Come back in 2 weeks. And until next time, we hope that you get to satisfy some of your cravings from this episode or plan a trip. I mean, whichever one is fine. And thank you for being here. We will talk to you next time.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of ReDIScover.
Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening. Your reviews are what keep us going, and we'd love to hear from you.
Join us every Tuesday for a new conversation and let us know what you think we should talk about next.
Follow us on Instagram at positively.kristen and at jessicafay508. And check out Jess's blog at theroadjesstraveled with 1l.com.
Until next time,
stay frumpy.